So, and I also wanted to respond to this comment. The person says, Ascendor, I really need your help, man. I've been struggling with severe insomnia and I really don't sleep. It's causing a lot of depression and I've got huge anxiety around sleep and the night. Please make a video to help me. Now, I've already responded with a comment, but I've also told him that maybe if I can remember, that I will make a video about it. And here's the video. So, and of course I'm not a doctor, just keep that in mind. I can only tell you what helped me, because I know what it feels like when you just can't sleep. Now, when I'm in a life circumstance in which I feel like I don't belong here, actually my heart wants to be in a different life circumstance, but this outer world is forcing me to be here, then of course I tend to overthink all the time and therefore I cannot sleep. It's like my inner being is rebelling against the thing that I'm forced into. But can this overthinker actually change something about it, or is it something that you have to surrender to that will actually transform your life? So here's the thing. The one that's overthinking is somebody that's like a control freak. I want to control my life. So there's an overthinker that says, I don't like it as it is. I feel pain. I feel like I'm somewhere I don't belong. I don't like my life. And so therefore I'm overthinking because I'm constantly looking for solutions. I don't know if you have also talked about what kind of thoughts you have. You said, I think too much about sleeping and not sleeping, the consequences on my health and life. I always feel this need to do something and become something, and by not sleeping I feel like I'm failing. It's an endless spiral of thoughts and feelings. So I know at some point it can even feel like a total chaos where you don't even know what you're thinking about, but it just feels like horror. So I know what you're talking about. Let me go to the root of it. So there's a sense of I'm in charge, I have to do something. And this very feeling, this very act of trying to change something is creating it. So then the question comes up, okay, if I let it be, then who's going to change my life? And here's the thing, life itself will change your life, but if you're identified with the one that's overthinking and trying to control the present moment, then the one that's thinking is a product of the past. And therefore the one that's a product of the past, by thinking about oneself, can only recreate what happened in the past because that's all he knows or she knows. So by trying to change your life, you're actually just repeating the cycle over and over again. I hope I made this clear. So the overthinker is overthinking because he or she is trying to change what is because he or she doesn't like what is. But the very act of overthinking is a movement that consists totally only of the past. And therefore, by overthinking, you can only repeat the past. Even if it feels like you're trying, you have good intentions, you're only repeating the past. So the answer lies in surrender. Now, surrender to what? You don't have to worship a god. You can see that life is a thing that is moving by itself, and you don't have it under control as a separate being. So you surrender to life, and that needs a kind of, not even courage, it needs a total giving up. Because if it takes courage, then there is still a sense of, I'm not totally, let's see first. I'm only sticking in my toe, but I will see what life is going to do. That is not enough. You totally need to realize that you cannot do it, and then you surrender, and then you will see in that surrender you stop thinking about your life. You're almost like in this childlike state where you say, okay, God, let's see what you're going to do. I have a problem. Obviously, I cannot solve it. You can see me, and you have to do it. So you surrender to a higher intelligence that is in charge, and the mind obviously doesn't believe in this thing because it doesn't make any sense. It cannot be grasped. It cannot be, there's no evidence for it. So it's associating surrender with fear, with a total giving up. You're uprooting yourself, basically. It's just like a leaf in the wind. That's what it feels like. Until you actually do it, and then you will see that the leaf is going in the right direction. And if you could just do it for 5 minutes, and I will take control over my life after 5 minutes, but just for 5 minutes, I'm going to totally surrender. Now it's not my responsibility anymore to manage my thoughts, to manage my feelings. I will see what life is going to do if I'm not interfering. And now you see something totally new is taking place. For the mind, it's might seem idiotic. But once you realize that the one who's trying to take control is a product of the past and therefore is only repeating the past, then you will see that you cannot really change anything about your life. So you're totally letting go. And there is silence, and there's no longer an entity that is interfering. There's no longer an ego that is trying to control. And therefore there's just this curiosity that is almost screaming what are you going to do now? And then you see your thoughts are moving by themselves, the feelings are moving by themselves, and in that silence, in that lack of control, in that curiosity, in that letting go, in that opening, there is now the potential for a new creative idea to arise that does not come from the past. Now, so by letting go, you allow your body to relax, to finally go to sleep. And also in that state, there's a possibility for a new creative idea to arise that can actually help you in an efficient way to change your life. That is why I'm saying no guru can tell you how to change your life. He cannot give you a prescription. That's what you have to do. And you should go this way or follow this God. All that the teacher, the spiritual teacher, can tell you is to not identify with the mind, because the teacher understands that once you're no longer identified with the mind, which means you're no longer identified with the past, that's when an idea, an inspiration, the connection to God, to Source, can finally be a real experience in your life. So the path will be revealed inside of you once you're able to totally let go. So you let go of responsibility, and therefore you're letting go of your past, and therefore you have great space, a great room for inspiration to be cultivated in, and it happens by itself. It's like you're so dense because you're trying to overthink that there is no space for creativity to take place. And creativity is a new thing. It's the actual intelligence. Remembrance of the past, memory, remembering memory is not intelligence. It's just a repetition of the past. But actual intelligence comes out of this great space in which you're no longer trying to do anything. Let's see what kind of an idea is coming up if I'm just waiting for it. And then all of a sudden something comes. So that's a quality of the mind that many people have to discover still. But it's actually the very thing that makes life worth living, because that's where all of the joy comes from. That's that people who are waking up in the morning saying, I wonder how great this day is going to be. those are people who understand that it will naturally just manifest out of this nothingness. And people who are depressed thinking, oh, it's going to be the same day today, they are stuck in the past, and therefore they already assume that this day is going to be exactly like the day before. See, that's the kind of a difference. So in practice, what you have to do is actually say to yourself, I'm going to be curious now. I'm not going to think about how should I manage it, how should I fall asleep, what's the technique to fall asleep, what should I do with my life, how should I manage my thoughts. Understand practically that this is not your responsibility. Be open and curious. What is going to happen by itself if you're not interfering? Don't know if I used the right word. So be curious and open, and inspiration will flow through you. And if it feels negative, then that's exactly what's supposed to happen. So don't be scared of it. Because sometimes when you're open, all this negative and dark stuff has to move through you, because that's the very feeling of healing. So look at it as an achievement. All right? I hope that helped. And yeah, that was it.